The 49ers just finished day 9 of training camp, and yes, Brandon Ayuk was there. He watched. He was wearing black clothes and a hat, and he was standing next to the sideline, but then he sat down. He got a chair, and he put it in the shade, and he sat next to Talanoa Hufanga, and he took the towel off his head and just had a hat on for a while, and they were chatting. They chatted and watched practice for a long time, and then at a certain point, Brandon Ayuk was drinking a bottle of water. He drank the bottle of water, and then he finished the bottle of water, but he held on to the bottle and fiddled with it for, a good 45 minutes. And then here's the key. This is the key moment. He stands up and he leaves. You tell me what that means. I mean, it's obvious, right? He's clearly getting traded to Cleveland for Amari Cooper. How else can you interpret him sitting there drinking water, talking to Talanoa Hufanga in the shade on a hot day while fiddling with the bottle after he finished it? I think that clearly means he's going to Cleveland, I want to say in 7 to 9 days for Amari Cooper. It's written all over his face. All you had to do was be here. Second thing, Brock Purdy, quarterback of the team, he also was here practicing, was really good. He was, in fact, great. And I'll tell you why. He threw 2 beautiful deep touchdown passes. One to Deebo Samuel, one to Chris Conley. But that was the good part of his day. The great part, the best part, were the 2 interceptions he threw. Because, yeah, throwing touchdowns in practice is good, but what do you learn when you throw it? That you learn that you're good. But when you throw a pick, that's when you really learn what you can do, and that's what makes you better. So interceptions, touchdowns good, interceptions better. He threw 2. First one, he threw to Ricky Pearsall in traffic. And what did he learn? Don't throw to Ricky Pearsall in traffic, because he was kind of a good throw. Tight window, covered by Diamador Lenore and Jair Brown over the top. Tried to fit it in. Ricky Pearsall has really short arms. Tipped it to Jair Brown, intercepted. So great interception. Terrible play by Ricky Pearsall. That's a catch that Brandon Ayuk would have made because he has long arms and Ricky Pearsall doesn't. Second interception, this one was a bad decision. It was a predetermined read. He forced the ball to Deebo Samuel, who's running a deep crossing route against a safety, Jair Brown. I'm sure Brock Purdy's thinking, I like that matchup. I'm throwing to Deebo no matter what. Problem is, Deebo Samuel isn't guaranteed to beat anyone man-to-man no matter what position they play. So Jair Brown ran the route for him and easily intercepted the pass. So terrible decision, awful throw, but great play by Brock Purdy because now he knows not to predetermine throws and force them right to free safeties during games. I mean, you can't get that type of work and exercise anywhere else. It was the best day of camp I've ever seen. Here's who stood out on day 9 of 49ers training camp. Keep in mind, Brandon Ayuk watched while drinking water in the shade. Interpret that as you will. The good, free safety Jair Brown. He recorded 2 interceptions on passes thrown by Brock Purdy. More on him in a minute. First, Brown caught an overthrown pass that was tipped by Ricky Pearsall. More on him in a minute too. Then Brown covered Deebo Samuel man-to-man, jumped his route, and stepped right in front of Purdy's pass over the middle. Interception number 2. Brown might be the training camp MVP. He's a freaking stud. Defensive tackle Jordan Elliott. He recorded at least 3 sacks and lots of pressures today. He was by far the most disruptive defensive tackle on the field, and that's no knock on Javon Hargrave or Malik Collins. They were good today as well. Elliott simply is bigger and more imposing. Wide receiver Deebo Samuel. He had his best day of training camp. First, he burned Diamador Lenore with the fade route up the sideline to catch a 40-yard pass from Brock Purdy. No big deal. In addition, Samuel repeatedly ran for big gains on end-arounds and swing routes. He still isn't the best route runner. He couldn't beat the starting free safety one-on-one today, but he seems faster than he has been in years. He's going to have an excellent season. Wide receiver Trent Taylor. He beat both Isaac Yiadom and Diamador Lenore during one-on-one drills. Taylor isn't a particularly good player in games, per se, but he's a training camp Hall of Famer. Look for the Niners to put him on their practice squad. Cornerback Renardo Green. He beat Deebo Samuel during one-on-one drills. Samuel ran a deep out route and created 0 separation from Green. To be fair, Samuel never creates separation when he runs out routes. Still, Green rarely gives up separation to anyone. And when he gets beat, he's usually close enough to contest the catch. Tight end Braden Willis. He made a diving catch on the final play of practice. It was 4th and 5. Brandon Allen scrambled out of the pocket to his right and fired 15 yards downfield to Willis, who had to lay out to catch the ball. He's a natural receiver who absolutely will make the 53-man roster. The not so good quarterback Brock Purdy. He threw 2 beautiful deep passes, one to Deebo Samuel down the sideline and one to Chris Conley up the seam. These were 2 of Purdy's best deep passes of camp. But he also threw 2 interceptions and now has thrown 9 picks in 9 practices. The first pick was a slightly errant pass into a tight window for Ricky Pearsall, who was bracketed by Diamador Lenore and Jair Brown. Purdy's pass tipped off Pearsall's fingertips and landed in Brown's arms. To be fair, Brandon Ayuk probably would have made that catch because he has much longer arms than Pearsall. So this interception wasn't terrible, but the second one was. On the second pick, Purdy made a bad decision and predetermined to throw to Deebo Samuel, who wasn't open. Jair Brown ran his route for him. So Purdy ended up throwing the ball directly to Brown, who was right in front of him. Purdy says he benefits from throwing interceptions in training camp because he learns what he can and can't do. Hopefully today he learned not to force passes to Pearsall in traffic and not to throw to Samuel unless he's open. Wide receiver Ricky Pearsall. He did not participate in one-on-ones, but did participate in 11-on-11s and was underwhelming. He made a 10-yard catch when he ran a quick slant and beat Isaac Yiadom, who was playing 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. Pearsall still hasn't shown that his route running translates to the NFL. He does not create as much separation as I expected he would, unless he's facing Isaac Yiadom. Cornerback Travarius Ward. He went through the motions. He didn't give his best effort. He let Frank Darby run right by him for a deep touchdown catch during one-on-ones. Then he committed a pass interference penalty against Deebo Samuel on 2nd and 20 during a move the ball drill. Automatic first down. Ward is the best player on the field when he wants to be. Today, he didn't want it. Cornerback Diamador Lenore. He never gets beaten handily, but he still struggles to break up contested catches because he's a smaller cornerback. Today, he gave up a 40-yard catch up the sideline to Samuel and a 15-yard catch over the middle to Chris Conley. On both plays, Lenore had great coverage. He simply couldn't make a play on the ball. That's his limitation. Linebacker Ezekiel Turner. He knocked Jordan Mason to the ground at the end of a play. A big no-no during training camp. Mason immediately popped back up, ran over to Turner, and shoved him to the ground from behind. An eye for an eye. Tight end Cam Latu. He did not participate in practice. He seems injured again, which is bad news for his career, which is hanging by a thread. It seems like he simply doesn't have what it takes to play in the NFL. Whenever he catches the ball, defensive players all yell to punch it out because they seem to know he can't hang on to it. He's not going to make this team.